Diary of a Wimpy Wolf, Lost in the Winter Storm, Kids' Adventure Stories. Written by Jeff Child. Narrated by John H. Feskins. Introduction. It's the opposite world. In this diary about a wolf named Lupus, you'll find that sheep are not as innocent as they appear to be, and wolves aren't as vicious and mean as you may think. They are merely struggling to survive. A sneaky sheep spies on the pack, waiting to tear them apart. When it gets spotted, the wimpy Lupus is expected to prove himself by going after it. Enjoy the fun story of the wolf, his own account, who figured out how to be smarter, stronger, and sneakier by solving his pack's problem. Chapter 1. The Wolf Pack. Lupus is the name, sir, I answered the big gray wolf in front of me. His name was Lavoid, and I soon understood why. His tail was up as a real leader, and mine was down, submissive to my superior. "And what is your purpose here, Lupus?" he demanded. "To protect the pack." "Protect the what?" "The pack, sir," I yelled. "Oh, I thought I heard you wrong, because for some reason, I don't think you understood me right when I told you that that is exactly who you're supposed to protect. Could you explain what happened here?" "I can't, sir. I am sorry." "Excuse me? You what? You can't? Surely there must be an excellent clarification for the destruction that took place here. Would you please enlighten us with what you know?" "It's just, I was standing guard in front of the family dens. Everything was quiet. The snow was icy and I could see my own breath. You know how it is." "You don't have to tell me about the weather, Lupus. Just explain why all these dens are so messed up." "I didn't do it. There was nobody here. Yes, okay, I saw something move in the snow. It was white, and I was about to check it out when I got called by another wolf to watch their den for a while. When I came back, the moving object in the snow was gone, and the dens were messed up." "That sounds a little sketchy. Who or what do you think caused this?" "I have no idea, sir." Lavoid came a little closer and rolled his eyes. Then he got into my face and started yelling. "Then you better find out! I will not tolerate this!" I was about to ask how I was supposed to discover what happened, but from the look on his face I concluded it was better to shut up. I would figure out a way. Yes, sir," I said in a quiet voice. This was an investigation. This was war. The game was on. I was going to do everything in my power to find out who or what was terrorizing the pack. I walked away from the angry wolf leader and went to my own den. I sat there for some time, pondering the sequence of events. A white object in the snow. What could that be? I couldn't put my finger on it. I guess it could be anything if it was covered in snow. But it looked like a different white, an off-white. And why did it mess up the wolf dens? I wasn't sure what to do, so I left my own den and walked around trying to find anything. There! Paw prints! Wow, those are weird. They don't look like wolf paw prints at all. It was like they were caused by an animal with hoofs or something. Strange. I hadn't seen any of those around. Chapter 2. Blizzards. I still hadn't found anything, and Lavoid was demanding a report each day. It was tough to tell him every time that I still didn't know what caused the dens to collapse. It was all just a big mystery. I kept searching and came across another moving white object. I followed it, but it disappeared, and then it started snowing. A thick layer of snow covered the ground, the trees, and everything in the environment. It snowed really heavily, and I couldn't see much. I ducked. I was going to sit there and wait until the snow would be gone, but it didn't happen soon. It snowed for hours and hours, or maybe not. I lost track of time. But either way, I knew it was a long time. It was white everywhere, and time was not the only thing I was lost track of. I couldn't see the moving object anywhere either. Again, I had to go back and report to Lavoid, which was not my favorite thing to do. I came to the edge of a giant cliff where some of the wolf dens have been dug. It was one of those spots from where you could see most of the valley and surrounding areas. "I suppose you have nothing for me?" Lavoid asked when I arrived. "I am sorry, sir. I followed a moving white object." He raised his eyebrows. "Why would you do that? The snow is white. How are you ever going to find a white object in white snow?" he asked. "Well, it just moved," I said. "Okay, never mind. Just look over here. Look at the mess this white object of yours created, or anything else that might have done it." He pointed to the dens near the grove of trees. It was a big mess. The tunnels had collapsed. The snow was piled up in front of them, and even tree trunks were blocking some of the exits. What was going on here? I walked around and observed the scene. Some mother wolves are looking worried. Cubs were crying, and males were questioning families what had happened. Then I saw it. "There," I said. "See that? Those are paw prints. They look like they came from hoofs. It must have been some kind of herbivore that tried to confuse us or cause panic." "Are you serious, Lupus? That doesn't add up. Get your act together and start making some sense." "Yes, sir." I didn't feel like insisting on what I discovered, so I just let him wander off and continued my research. The prints really looked like hoofs. A horse? A cow? A goat, perhaps? I looked around and tried to focus on any movement, but it was extremely difficult, because it was snowing a little again, and it soon became something close to a blizzard again. Aha! I saw it. Sheep! Tons of sheep! They were standing in a group on the other side of the ravine. There must be about 100 of them. What were they doing? It's like they are in a meeting or something. I couldn't see very well because of the blizzard, but I knew what I saw. It was weird. I didn't understand it. Where did these sheep come from? I moved around a little and scratched my ear. The snow was so cold. Brrr. I mean, I was used to a little cold weather, but this was crazy. We hadn't had a blizzard like this in years. As I tried to decide what to do next, I thought of what a true heroic wolf would do. Interesting. What would a leader do? Chapter 3. Lost. Instead of reporting to that annoying Lavoid who thought he was the best wolf on the planet, I decided to track those sheep down myself. So my venture was bound to end up on the other side of the ravine. I needed to find a way around it, and I stopped every half hour or so to see where I was at and how far it still was to the other side. It took me a while to reach a point where I thought I was on my way there. But then the snow got even worse. The blizzard covered my sight completely. I didn't see where I was going anymore. I was completely lost and had no clue how to continue from here. I dug a hole in the ground again and hid underneath it to keep myself warm and protect me from the falling snow. It was already getting dark when it stopped. The layer was thick. It required more effort to walk through it. It was hard, but I had a goal. I wanted to find those sheep and let the pack know where they were, so we could attack and fill our stomachs. I know most of us were getting pretty hungry, and we needed to find food quickly. The sheep were going to help us through the next few days, or even longer, so we wouldn't starve to death. There it was! I found it! It was the bridge between one end of the mountain and the other. If I would cross this bridge, I would definitely be near the sheep. It was dark, it was scary, but I wanted to reach my destination, and the full moon made the bridge clearly visible, so I crossed it and arrived at the place where the sheep used to be. Hey, where did they go? I looked around him anxiously. I heard an eerie sound. Where it was coming from, I did not know. But after some time, I noticed that it was coming from all different directions. I got a little nervous. What was that? Suddenly, it attacked me. "Awoo!" I howled. The thing that attacked me was not alone, because here was another, and another, and another. They were snakes! The tiny creatures were jumping on my back, my chest, my face. There were at least a dozen that nibbled away at my skin. I was trying to shake them off. I scratched one with my claws, bit another one with my sharp teeth, and threw one in the air with my tail. But they kept coming. I had to think of something, or they would overwhelm me and leave me dead in the cold snow. I let my gaze wander for a few seconds, enduring the painful biting of the little snakes. Then I saw it. There was a small pool of water. Several pieces of ice were floating in it, but it wasn't covered by ice, so I decided to jump in it. I ran towards it and jumped. Splash! It was freezing. I hated it. But the snakes were letting go. They couldn't stand the cold water and slowly drowned or froze to death. That was close. I looked around and saw the snakes go away to a different location, ready to attack more victims. I slowly climbed out of the pool and shook off all the water. My fur went poof, and I looked as if I had just been electrocuted. I thought it was funny. Then I made sure I went all the way around the spot where I had seen the snakes and began looking for the sheep again. Snakes in the snow. I still had a hard time accepting it. It was so strange. Chapter 4. The Shepherd. I walked and walked. I assumed the sheep would be around somewhere, since I was on the other side of the ravine. I thought about the pack, and how much respect I would earn if I would get there and tell them where the sheep were. I was already picturing myself being carried on their backs and being fought over by the females. Others would make me their leader and kick Lavoid out. It would be so cool. A little later, I found the sheep. My mouth fell open. There were hundreds of them. I was right. They were the ones who messed up the dens. I walked close to them and listened, hidden in the snow. "Did you see the looks on their faces when their dens were broken?" one of the sheep said. "It was priceless," another said. "They can't see us because we are white," one of the sheep said. "We can easily get away with this without getting caught." Oh yeah, I thought. Let's see about that. I'm going to tell the others where you are, and then it will be a feast. But then something happened I didn't expect. I saw a few humans. What are they doing here? I thought. They were walking through the snow towards the sheep. There were 4 of them, and they had a couple of dogs. Before I realized what was going on, the men were shouting and guiding the dogs to run around the sheep. The sheep were startled, but they were scared nonetheless. All of them panicked, walking in the same direction. I figured the men must be shepherds. I stayed hidden and watched as the shepherds led the sheep away. They were leaving the area, away from me, farther and farther away. But I kept following them from a distance. Luckily, the dogs didn't notice me with their keen sense of smell. Hiding behind a tree, I saw the men putting the sheep within a fence. The dogs were barking as loudly as they could, and all the sheep went in. Then the shepherds closed the gates. The sheep were inside the fence. This is terrific, I thought. They can't go anywhere now. All we have to do is come here and slaughter them. They're trapped like sardines in a can. I am going to tell the others. Chapter 5. Back at the Wolf Pack. I started on the journey back. The snow was slowly disappearing a little here and there, so that made it easier for me to find my way towards the pack of wolves I came from. Guys, I shouted, I have good news. Lavoid leaped in front of me. Good day, Lupus. You've been gone for a long time. Please tell me that you found out who messed up our dens. Even better than that, I said proudly. I found out who did it, where they are, and how to get our revenge. Speak before I lose my patience. Well, I began, I was wandering around in an attempt to find out who had insulted me like that when I was suddenly attacked by snakes. Snakes did this? Lavoid asked. No, let me finish. Excuse me, but could you just skip all the nonsense? Another wolf asked. Certainly, I said. As I was saying, I was attacked by snakes, but I knew I had seen sheep there. They must have moved to escape from the snakes. Anyway, when I looked a little further, I found hundreds of sheep. They were talking about how many dens they had destroyed and the fact that we can't see them in the snow. But before I could do anything, some shepherds came and guided them into a fence. "Sheep?" Lavoid asked. "Interesting. And you said they are surrounded by a fence now?" "Yes." "Even more interesting," Lavoid says, looking at the others. The others chuckled. They all knew what they were thinking. Sheep meant food. "Lead us there and I won't bother you again," Lavoid said. "No problem," I said obediently. "Follow me and we'll have enough to eat." 10 wolves followed me anxiously and excitedly to see the yummy meal they were about to devour. We walked all the way around the canyon and arrived at a hill overlooking the place where the sheep were locked inside the fences. "There," I said. "See for yourself." We went down the hill. The wolves from my pack were vicious. They were so hungry that they didn't wait another minute and stormed at the sheep. "Oh!" they howled. "Growl!" others growled. Ready to eat after such a long period of semi-starvation, they drooled and ran and snarled at the sheep. But the sheep weren't afraid of them. With only 10 wolves against a few hundred sheep, my friends were definitely outnumbered. And with that, they didn't exactly have the advantage. The sheep stood as one, gathered together, and prepared to face the wolves. When the wolves attacked, some sheep kicked the wolves in the face. Other ones walked right through them, figuratively of course, and every sheep was putting up a decent fight. The battle looked chaotic from where I was standing. Wolves were biting and scratching, sheep were falling, and other sheep were headbutting wolves. The end of it was that the wolves lost, or so I concluded. The 10 wolves whined and ran away up the hill. "Didn't go so well, did it?" I asked. "Shut up, Lupus," Lavoid said. "It's just that we need to catch them by surprise. These sheep aren't like others. They have stuck together to survive the harsh forces of nature and have developed some kind of defense mechanism against predators. We'll try again at night with the full moon in its place." "Sounds like an idea," I said while laughing a little. We waited. That night, the 10 wolves were ready to attack the sheep again. And this time, the sheep seemed completely unaware of our whereabouts. They were about to get eaten. The wolves snuck towards the fence, unnoticed by their herbivore enemies. Some wolves snuck underneath the fence. One of them jumped over. I stood at the top of the hill, watching them apply their second tactic. A wolf pounced on a sheep and bit it. "Bah!" the sheep bellowed. The other sheep panicked, and the wolves took advantage of the chaotic moment. All 10 of them were now attacking, and it seemed as if the sheep were going to lose this time. But then another obstacle came our way. Bam! Bam! They were gunshots. The shepherds had come outside and were firing in the air. "Hurry!" I yelled from the top of the hill. "Get out of there! You cannot fight guns!" They didn't hear me, even though they had clearly heard the gunshots. But the wolves were ignoring them. They didn't realize the danger of a gun. I kept yelling, but to no avail, so I decided to descend to the fence and yell from there. "This way!" I yelled again. "You have no idea what you're up against! Flee before you die here!" Fortunately, the wolves came my way before they were shot. Well, 9 of them came my way. Lavoid was too stubborn. He wasn't going to let these humans push him around. We warned him. We all stood at the fence for a few minutes, but he didn't listen. He told us that we were cowards. "You don't deserve to be wolves," he shouted. "Let me show you how it's done." His fate was sealed. His pride was punished. There was nothing we could do about it. He had chosen the way of the fool. Bam! 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 We heard gunshots again. The darkness revealed its emptiness when we witnessed the death of a fellow wolf. His last breath echoed through the air, and he fell down in the snow. The shepherds talked to each other. They were looking for us. I encouraged the other wolves to follow me and never come back. Luckily, they listened to me, and nobody else got hurt. Chapter 6. Plan B. They came with me to the other side of the hill. The shepherds didn't pursue us. It was a sad, dark night when Lavoid was shot. I didn't like him anyway, but seeing him die like that was not what I expected, nor was it what I wished would have happened. If only he would have listened to us. But now it was too late. "You should be our new leader," one of the wolves said. "Okay," I said. "I don't mind that. But first we need to find our pack. The females and cubs are probably worried sick after such a long day. Let's see, was it this way?" I thought I was a little lost, because after some time walking we came to a village, one that I hadn't seen before. But this was precisely what we needed, because what we noticed after passing by the dark homes, there was a butchery. "What's that?" one of the wolves asked me. "It's a butchery," I said, a little too loudly in excitement. "What is a butchery?" "This is awesome," I said, ignoring the question. "Come on." We walked around the back and found a way to open the door to the storage room. Big pieces of meat from cows, sheep, and chickens were hanging on the ceiling, lying around on the counter, and packaged in containers. It was wolf heaven. "Whoa," the wolves said as they entered the tiny building. "This is the most meat in one place I have ever seen," another said. "Isn't it great?" I asked. "And it's all up for grabs. The only thing we have to be careful about is to make sure we don't alarm any of the civilians." Chapter 7. The End of Starvation. "This is so much better than trying to kill a sheep or some other animal," the wolf next to me said. "These are pieces of meat. The animals are already dead. It's almost as if they are handing them to us on a platter." "Shh," I said, rebuking him. "That's not how it is at all. We have to be silent as the grave. If any of these villagers discovers us, they will do the same as what they did to Lavoid. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these villagers have at least one gun in their homes. Don't make a noise, okay?" "Understood." "Good. Now let's split up and each take a big piece of meat so we can take as much home as we can carry." No sooner said than done. We all stood outside with a huge piece of meat. It didn't take long before we found our way back to the pack. The she-wolves were impressed. They all came to me and told me how much they admired my courage and intelligence. I had saved them from hunger. The starvation period was over. We had brought enough meat to the pack to survive for days, perhaps even weeks. And although the villagers often tried to find out who stole the butcher's meat, we were always sufficiently sneaky to make sure we didn't get caught. Every few weeks we went to the same place and got the best beef, pork, and chicken meat. It was delicious every time we came back to our hideout. The sheep were kept within the fences, and they never bothered us again. After some time, I was elected as the pack's new leader. The males carried me on their shoulders for a few minutes when it happened. My dream had come true. The end.